To talk about what's real in the marketplace. We've all heard about the technology. Many of us have sold the technology, integrated the technology, but what's the appetite of the marketplace? Because that's really going to define how successful we all are as an industry. So we have an esteemed panel. We have Ronnie Yagoff, who's Chief Executive Officer of the OLB Group, and we have Travis Delaney, who's CEO of Push Payments. And Travis, if you can just give us a quick overview of Push Payments and the solutions that you provide.
Yep, absolutely. So Push Payments has reinvented checks, wires, and ACH. Basically, we move money instantaneously from one bank account to the next in under a second. So we work with banks to empower real-time payments in the marketplace and processors and businesses, basically to provide liquidity services and basically get them their money faster. So in short, we're a new age type of processor that does issuance, acquiring, and ACH type of transactions all together collectively.
Okay. Ronnie, overview of OLB.
We are a fintech company and we provide services to merchant acquiring banks. From software that's mobile commerce software up to the retail itself. We have also a payment gateway that the payment gateway is connected to the underwriting department in-house and the support. We do also crowdfunding payments and we from regulation A up to the lowest $1 million of transactions.
So first question I have, well, I guess we'll start with you, Ronnie. You're selling innovation through merchant service providers and to merchants. So, they've all read about, the new technology on there. I thought they understand, I imagine they understand the high level benefits there. But what's their appetite in terms of integrating new technologies vis-a-vis disruption to their organization? And how do you persuade those businesses and those providers to bite the bullet and adopt new technology?
Well, everybody's excited about new technologies, but then when it comes to make a change, everybody's like holding off and they don't want to change their habits. So we have to do it easy.
Yeah.
So everybody's excited, but on one hand, on the other hand, they don't want to make the changes to what they used to.
So what do you do? How do you help persuade them? They're excited, but they've got old habits, and so
we're trying to make it in small steps. So we don't change overnight the interface, user experience. User experience is the key thing to all those things.
Okay. Travis, how about you? I've seen you at these conferences in the past, and so how do you help your customers or their customers bridge the chasm?
That's I would have to say that was one of the very first problems I tried to solve. And it was literally one of these wake up in a cold sweat at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I ran to my whiteboard and spent 4 hours getting out in my head what I just had an epiphany on. And it was really that reducing that friction, if you will, with the customer. And so with a bank process today, we can integrate a full bank without core banking integration, and all they do is open a DDA account. That's it. And we can run their entire bank payment systems. So it is really about pushing yourself to find, do we really have to do what we've always done before? Is there a better way? Is there a better way to do it? So I actually worked very hard, and I would say I even spent an hour this morning with my staff about we need to go farther and really excel with your customer, right? So the thing is the only way that we can truly become world-class organizations is to provide exactly what we would expect to our customers. And to do that, that means make it easy. I had a golden rule, easy button, everything. So we do the stuff that nobody wants to do, settlement and all the ISO messaging errors and all the stuff that's just a pain and you don't want to do with. So we try to do all that and take it away as an easy button. So to me, it's an approach. Technology is a tool, and you use the technology to do all the work you can without the customer impact. In your case, you have a hard or sell, right? Because it's a hardware device, so.
Well, I'm telling my developers, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
if you have to explain the merchant what they have to do, we fail.
exactly.
Okay. So with that being said, we have probably a half dozen new innovations that have entered the market the last couple of years or are about to hit critical mass, or, you know, the developers and the vendors may think they're about to hit a critical mass. So I just want to throw some of the more obvious technologies out there, and from your perspective, let me know what the reality check is. Do you think that it'll be adopted, widely adopted in the marketplace? Do you think it'll fall short of expectations? Or do you think it's going to be an abject, or has been an abject failure, or any of all in between? So Ronnie, first one with you, blockchain. What's the reality?
Well, it's early stage, but it's definitely going to be there. That's my belief. I'm a great believer that every institution, from insurance companies, payments, anything that has important data will be on the blockchain.
So do you think then it's got to find the right, it'll be more applicable in the right market sector than a broad-based foundational technology?
It have to be the large corporations have to endorse it, like Chase endorsed the blockchain, so all the banks are covered.
Okay. What about blockchain from your perspective, Travis?
So I'll first caveat this is I've been involved in blockchain and Bitcoin. Well, I have Bitcoin at $12, so it just gives you an idea. So I've been around it a while, but I only state that to say blockchain's not technology.
Okay.
I disagree. It's not NFC. It's not near field. It's not a technology. It is just not. It's a language. It's a framework for
Okay.
a language. That means something very different. That means it can be applied to situations to solve a problem. So can Java, so can C++, so can any other language using the right tools. So first, now that we've got that out of the way, the framework allows for a consensus model. That's in short, right? So it means that, okay, I want to do this, I'm going to give it to you, and does everybody agree? Yay, okay, done, right? And that's really what it amounts to in really short layman's terms. So when you look at a blockchain, it's either open or closed. Closed network, open network, ever heard those terms before? Right? So these aren't new, it's just applied in a different concept, right? It is a broader, and it's distributed. There's a lot of things that have value. I take a lot of that. But so to answer your question, absolutely it'll be around, just like Java never died, C never died. It'll absolutely, and it'll be applied to the areas that fit most. Right now, there's a lot of, will it fit this hole? Will it fit this hole? Will it fit this hole? Right? So until we get momentum and adoption in an area that really takes off, that will be the first use case. Everybody likes to use payments as an example. Not in a global scale, more in a cyclical controlled environment.
So it's got to find its own legs.
It's got there's a cost for delivery, and people talk about the energy, but it's just, there's a cost, right? And the cost is actually very high right now. So when you compare data center, IBM blockchain or something, you better have enough cash if you want to run the new model right now, right? Until that's commoditized.
Okay. Another one, technology that we were all getting bombarded with, you know, in every sector is AI. You know, what's the reality of AI? So Travis, will start with you. What's the reality of AI as you see it in terms of digital commerce?
So AI is, you know, it's just a buzzword to some extent. It's algorithm, machine learning. It's a progression of an idea that's been around for hundreds of years, and it's just systemic processing. So AI just makes it compounded, because that's really putting it all together, taking all the data elements, making some predefined rules against that, and executing on it, right? It sounds like a software program. But what AI has done, and what we've done in the market, is we sold the sizzle before the meat. And so the sizzle is, look what you can do, and your mind runs wild, right? But if your data is not structured, and you've done all the work, and cubed it, and characterized it, it's not going to get anywhere. So for consultants out there, there's a lot of money to be made in getting prepared for AI, right? So Is it something? Absolutely, because we're all lazy as Americans, and and generally speaking, if somebody don't hand me something, I don't have to go look for it, then sure, please. As long as it's secure and controlled, but it'll be a theme. Again, it's a tool to be utilized at the right place, at the right time. It creates the journey. It's another tool to be used, and it'll be around.
So Ronnie, when OLB talks to customers, does the AI conversation ever come up in terms of?
We're trying to avoid those things. Everybody's asking for statistics and analytics of their customers, and we provide those things. We're providing to the customers today, instead of going to 5, 6 different applications, they go and do everything in one dashboard.
Okay.
So I agree with you that AI is like a new term. It's like used to be server farms, now it's cloud-based.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any, just in the audience, are there any technology vendors represented here? Merchant service providers? Retailers? Just happy visitor. Okay. So analytics. Every vendor that I've known says they deliver analytics. Now, my own personal opinion is that companies are very, very good at harnessing data. That's the easy part. The challenge is taking that data, transforming it, and making it usable from a customer's perspective. That's where things have fallen. So, Ronnie, let's start with you. Where are we, let's say, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of the analytics journey, in terms of delivering value to the customer?
I mean, as far as my applications, we deliver analytics to the customers, but we deliver what they really want to see. We have all the information, and we're giving them maybe 5 or 10% of what we have,
Okay.
because it's important for them to know how much transactions they did, when it's going to be deposited to their bank account, what are the best products that they sell.
So let me ask you a question. Would you say that what you provide is analytics, or is it data?
Well, it's massage data.
And the massage data, is it massage data based on correlation of how you see it or how they see it?
No, they can create the way they want to see it.
Okay.
So they customize how they receive.
But
Okay.
they customize it in a simple way. They
Right.
don't have to write a code or put some algorithms or do searches or something.
So I'll just kind of lead into this. So there's a reason I ask some of that, and I'll give you a little context in the sense that my girlfriend's a data scientist, right? And so what she does is she goes through all the data. She works for one of the largest home builders in the United States, and they have an arm that owns a bunch of FDIC bad loans and stuff that they manage. So my point is, there's an enormous amount of data between values and sell dates and value and profits and all this other stuff. And it's all dispersed in different categories. And this is the real world of what big companies have. And there's data here, there's data here. This one means something to this group, and this one means something to this group, and this means something to this group. And in the center, you got a bunch of data farms, maybe, if it's done right, and warehouses, whatever. And you got your group data that's characteristical to the people that are using it, right? How do you deliver analytics that is corporate, executive, driver decision-making decisions? So your earlier thing about AI, and now we're talking about analytics. So to me, there's 3 things. There's data. Analytics is purposeful data, maybe correlated, maybe insightful. And then there's one in between we're not talking about, which is the decisioning type of data, which means that this indicates something that you automatically make a decision on. This was the decision that was made. And AI allows you to come in and make those predefined decisions off that data to execute, right? So, and I told you about my girlfriend being a data scientist because of this reason. She's probably the busiest and the most, and they put her on her contract because she can't leave and try to keep her there, because she, on purpose, went to every single business unit in that company to understand, what do you do, what's your purpose, and why do you want it, and how do you want to see it, and what input do you have, what output do you need? She fully understands the need of that department, put them all together, and understood the purpose of the company. So she can look at data and it will just speak to her, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong. This is, somebody manipulates that one or whatever. So that's what AI should be doing, right? It's like I've told her many times is AI is what you are today. We have to, somehow figure out how to technologize you, but it's the understanding of the business drivers. And that's what technology gives you. That's why it's a tool. But if you don't build it in those steps, you can't execute. So AI is only as good as your data and clean, and the information of how that company runs comes in play. Because everybody, you can have companies exactly the same, and they will actually operate extremely different. That's a culture, that's a need, that's a purpose, that's a model.
Yeah, it's also for different verticals need AI, different verticals need
Right.
data analytics. I mean, I would say stock market.
You just
is AI.
move the microphone.
Stock market is for AI, data analytics is for retailers.
Right. It's if you're executing on the data or you're just consuming the data, right? Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, though, the story that, well, not unfortunately, but the reality of the story in terms of analytics, and if you want to lump AI with analytics, that's fine, is, geared to maybe the world that your girlfriend is in, which is enterprise level, analytics, where they have significant IT resources and they have big budgets to actually use that data. Now let's take the world of the small merchant. People tend to equate small to unsophisticated, which probably is unfair, because small businesses are probably as sophisticated, run on a much smaller scale. How do you deliver analytics that value to them in a very cost-effective way?
Well, what you can do, let's take, for example, the franchise business.
Mhm.
You need the two levels. You need the management of the franchise
Yeah.
and the franchisor.
Mhm.
It's two different type of information.
Right,
And that's like the enterprise level information.
right, scale down. So are we at the point then where we're comfortable as an industry that we can deliver value-added analytics to an SMB, to a small merchant, or are we not there yet from a price point?
Definitely we are there.
Yeah. Do you agree, Travis?
I always try to put myself in somebody's shoes. So if you're at a small business level, what you're going to provide to them in the payment industry is data. I don't think you're going to give them true analytics that are meaningful other than this is how much you made, right? Or this is how much it cost you, or, trying to simplify those
So you
cost
think this
structures.
whole customer journey story and customer engagement story is kind of misleading or not realistic?
No, I think it's very realistic. It's an approach. I'm a big believer in creating the right customer journey.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the purposeful need of the data, right? So you can look at a dashboard and you go, oh, okay. Or you can go, oh, wow, look, did you see, look, why is that special root cause popping out here, right? So if you're providing the right aspect of what that data is telling you, maybe there's a decision or a reaction to make from it. At a small business level, and at a corporate level, you can make some broad assumptions. This company does this.
Yeah.
They're in mortgages. It has something, there's value of the property. There's the estimated value. There's the loan value, right? Those are hard data items, right? But I'm not going to tell the bodega on the corner that what their customer marketplace is and how they can market more to do a better for their customer. Now, what I can do is try to give them the data that allows them to see that their customers are local or they're tourists or things of that nature. But if I'm going to do that, I better know that market. I'm a big believer in being local, right? And you got it, meaning local, not geographically, market-wise. So one of the things we do, we empower channels, right? And so we help people work within a particular channel so they know those type of customers. It's better than anything else. And that's the beauty of the channel if you don't use it. There was a panel earlier in the week about that. And it was honestly brilliant because we don't do that well enough. We empower ISOs and they'll sell anybody that'll buy from them, right? But we're working on a channel, right? Which is to know the problems And then you don't know the problems until you live it, you feel it. And then when you walk in their shoes and you carry $2,000 into a restaurant because it's cash to pay for tips so that they can tip their waiters and waitresses at the end of the night to differentiate between the big chain and why they should work for them because they get paid right away. But then somebody's daughter is walking out at 1 o'clock in the morning, $200 in her pocket. That's a problem. You find that's where you solve problems. You have to know your customer, and that is way overly done. So the customer journey is knowing your customer first, helping them solve their problems so they know you care, and then provide them enough data to do a better job. I believe that our job is to help them grow and do better and grow. That's how you own and you really help customers and retain customers.
I guess the analytics help you identify and know that customer.
Here's some
That's-
information
right.
I have that is helpful to you. The more I know about you, the better I can tailor that information to that customer. Right?
So last, since the mobile payment conference, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about, are we satisfied where we are as an industry in terms of mobile payment adoption? So Ronnie, we'll start with you on that.
Well, I mean, we are satisfied because we have a flow through our omni-commerce solution that a customer can go online, they can move the data of the order that they made to their phone, they can go to the store, and they can redeem it from a QR code.
Okay.
So we are completing the circle. On the back end, we have the monitoring system that verifies that the transactions are valid, there's no fraud, and we can pretty much underwrite it on the fly.
Okay, so do you think that we're at still early stages in terms of mobile commerce? Are we well underway? Where are we in terms of that evolution?
I mean, we'll depend on really the big companies like Apple and Android.
Uh-huh.
You know, they kind of move the motions, and we have to follow.
Okay,
That's my.
okay. What do you think, Travis?
No, we're absolutely not where we should be, where we would be, where we could be. All from failed executions of understanding what mobile payments really is, right? First and foremost, a wallet is not a product. ISIS was not a product, right? They are not, their features, their functionality. Uber is a mobile wallet. You never hear anybody call it that because it is frictionless, has a user journey, it has all the things that everybody that strives to be. But you're transacting. It's a mobile wallet. So I'm a product guy. So when I look at things like that and I say, well, that's some of the problem. We have a fight in the mobile space. And so what's happening is there's a fight between, at first it was who was going to get there, it was the merchants, was it going to be the banks, and so everybody gets their own kind of wallet. What is a wallet? Is it a sleeve like a Samsung or Apple, or is it actually a United Airlines where you or where you can simply tap? You guys remember them, where you could actually use the wallet like that, or Loop Pay, for example, right? So what is it, first of all, right? So a wallet that has a card in it is no different than a digital card on a phone. And then I call them sleeves, which is Samsung, Apple, and so forth. So they're different things. So there's also token providers that was forced in that knocked out like host field emulation as a technology because NFC got taken over only because Apple Pay basically enabled it. So it's all over the place. And what most people don't realize is the retailers get screwed on a mobile payment device anyway because it's tokenized and they don't get the Dodd-Frank ruling they were supposed to get that says they get to choose how to route the transaction. So they get shoved and you get the highest price on transaction and you eat it, right? So it's kind of that's why retailers don't like using them, and it really didn't enable them. So we put up blocks. You know, there's what people don't quite understand is that there's this dichotomy, and I saw this in the Faster Payment Task Force because we saw every kind of people involved in that. And there's a huge infighting between certain bank levels and so forth. So I hate to say it, and this is probably politically incorrect, but there's a cock blocking that happens between the industries that is stopping it today. in the discussions earlier, we were talking about, yesterday, when, Jack was up here, and we're talking about mobile. They were talking about, the funny thing is, they were talking about the banks, and they were talking about, the providers, and talking about Samsung and Apple and they mentioned the merchants, and why aren't the merchants doing this? Has anybody ever figured out, maybe because card not present, 3.5% is too much freaking to play to pay for a transaction, right? So interchange is a problem. It was created to solve a risk that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a sales commission and a kickback on virtual cards, and I can go on and on. So, I mean, the real problem gets solved when we have unity in the way we're going to execute. That's why Alipay worked. Aside from the fact that there was no infrastructure, so you can leap over that, you can't come into a predefined environment that people, First Datas or whoever you were talking about, or big merchants are making literally millions and millions and millions of dollars of the way they've done it in the last 40 years. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to upset you, and you're just going to not make any money, and you're going to go away, and we're going to distribute it. It's everywhere else, right? So we've been, and I apologize for anybody who's libertarian, but it's almost like taking the libertarian approach to mobile wallet, right? The meaning that we take it from the poor and divide it from amongst it. You can't do that. So traditional project management of how you implement an item is first is adoption, right? But the second, will they use it? But you have to do things and market and work it in to make it easy, and that's the customer journey. But then the other piece of that is that you have to sunrise, sunset. So how do you implement anything new? You put in something new here, let people migrate. Let the choice be them, make it better. But the old one, if you really want to sunset it, you make this one a little bit more expensive, so this one's a little cheaper, and make this one easier to use, right? So we don't collectively try to do that. So until we can get on a standardization, for lack of no way to put it, and I don't want to claim what that is, that's going to be a problem. So the winners will be this. Today, we don't solve a problem with mobile payments. I've heard that all week. Because if you use them, it is clunky, and pulling out a card and swiping it's not a problem. It doesn't work. And it doesn't work all the time, so you have to have a card every now and then. If your phone's almost dead, oh crap, do I have my phone? Do I have my wallet? Right? I do run into that all the time, because I try to force myself to use it, right? So I'm trying to force myself, and I'm a geek in this stuff, right? So I'm like, something's wrong there. So I know I'm going on a little bit, but
Ronnie, one thing that Travis touched on real quickly that, may not have gotten enough attention when they're introducing these devices are, will people use it? Do they want to use it? So consumer behavior, like you said, the race was, will the provider, will the carrier provide it? Will the banks provide it? Who's going to take ownership of the customer? But have businesses really, and these companies really take into account, do consumers want to use it? Are they really going to disrupt their behavior using mobile payments as opposed to taking out a credit card?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. It's much easier to pull out the wallet and put the credit card still, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I do believe that payments are more innovative, mobile payments in Europe than in the US. Even Apple Pay is more popular in Europe than in the US.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons, I guess, is like if you go to Africa and Asia, they didn't really have a banking infrastructure there. So there was a cash currency. So this solved the problem that was an immediate need in these markets where people were distrusting banks. You don't have that over here. So did that help accelerate adoption in other markets as well?
Well, you can see in Europe, like Pay the Table and all those things are done,
Canada
naturally
too,
for
yeah.
years,
Yeah.
India the same way. I mean, they bring the terminal to the table. They don't touch the card and stuff. That's a behavioral we shouldn't be adopting. But you said it. What was the first thing? Solving a problem.
Right.
That's what it's been. It's not solving a problem. It's a cool fad. And for the merchants, it's not solving the problem. It's actually more of a problem. I got to accept something else.
Right.
It's a
Okay.
problem for everyone. This is what you're gonna see with the mobile wallet space. Real-time payments is gonna actually facilitate more and more wallets popping up everywhere because it's gonna be easy to do, right? And so mobile payments in itself will really now take off. Wallets will take off. We're gonna see a whole avalanche of them being created. I know a lot of them that are in there that will be probably launching at 2020. But what's gonna drive that is they're solving problems, not consumer problems, because it's not our problem. That's the cool factor, that's the journey, right? But the problem will be for the merchant and for the processing sides and the people that are now blocking and trying to figure out who owns it now.
Do you have any
And
questions?
so that's gonna be on the business side. That's what they're gonna do.
Yes.
I'm going to invert back to you for a second. Said solve a problem. So I bristle at this whole business of what we need to change our behavior and do this pay at the table thing. Because we're looking out and we're seeing something that we think might be useful, but yet the consumers never asked for it. Okay? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because pay at the table was created because the employees were skimming the bill, right? So you don't touch the card because they were solving a problem that never existed in the U.S. Okay? Well, it existed, but it was not nearly at the
Wasn't prevalent, yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, at the time, they were introducing in Italy 1 in 5 transactions were fraud. Okay? Nothing like that ever happened in the U.S. So instead of looking to say that was yesterday's problem that they solved in that manner, let's focus on what problem are we solving today, and let's not take yesterday's problem that was solved and bring it to an environment that doesn't have the problem.
Okay.
To me, everything is about solving a problem.
Exactly.
Every business solves a problem. If you're not solving a problem, you don't have a business.
So, well, and back to the point that you were making, it's local, right? You want people to feel, this is the way I like to do it. Who cares? Make it a choice. You have to go through some sort of dance interaction with the bill and card and all that crap. Fine, right? But you can introduce choice, and then as those choices become popular, allow them.
So here's something to think about. So why do you think loyalty, who wants to answer this? And I know there's a couple of people in the room can answer this. So why do you think loyalty and rewards are a big deal right now? And why does everybody want to kind of talk about that? Come on, Gail. Kylie. Come on, somebody here knows and somebody wants to say it. Say it. We know? Well, who's the loyalty for? Why? What is loyalty for? What is rewards for? Who's it help? Huh? Merchants, right, thank you. So merchants want what? More business. They need help in marketing. So that's why loyalty and rewards are important, because it pulls people back on a regular basis so that they can create and have a better business, right? What does all businesses need? Marketing and sales, because if you don't have revenue, you don't have a company, right? So let's just get basic for a minute. It's that simple, right? The customers we deal with, we help them grow their business and help them solve their problems. Payments is not the problem. It's the approach and what we do with payments that's the solution. I've always said technology is not the solution. It's what you do with it to solve the problem. Payments works today. Things that I'm doing is new, but it's a new way of doing it. It improves what's there. But payments in general, the reason why we come to these conferences, learn a little bit, but it's really about what we need to do is increase our businesses ourselves, and the best way to do that is provide services unconditionally to our customers, and it will come back. It's kind of a karma thing. But you solve those problems, and then that's when you have sticky customers, that's when you have the viralness, because it will spread. But what we're gonna see in the next wave of mobile, I have a little insight of some things that are going on. And Jack actually, in his thing with Google earlier, was actually good. So, and I'll tell you why, because some of the fraud things we keep talking about, when you can validate, did this purchase happen? Yeah, approved right on the phone. It's basically a multi-factor almost on a transactional level. So, that helps because it helps you do that. So what you're going to see in the mobile wallets going forward is people solving business problems, and those are communication problems. People can't, how do I talk to my customers? I want to get closer to them. Maybe that's an inline chat, or maybe that's a voice interaction, or maybe it's a directory, or, the payment, again, is not the technology.
So let me just wrap it up. So Ronnie, what Travis's point is it's actually solving the problem. Payments not the problem. The way you describe it, it seems like analytics of all the tools in our tool belt, providing that information to the merchant is still probably the most powerful and compelling offering we have. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that something that you've seen in the marketplace?
Well, we've seen customers asking us, can you do this feature? That's what we're really missing. And we every month enhance those features.
So here's an idea. What happens instead they ask? You were able to provide that insight because you saw that, right? So that proactiveness, I think, is what's
But
different
I'll tell you,
sometimes.
we get like from 100 requests, we choose which one of.
Oh, I understand. There's a vibe. But that proactiveness
Well, that's where
is
it's
part
going,
of
I
that.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, we'll see everyone at O'Hare. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.